All right, now joining me to talk about the Sixers and Celtics and VJ Edgecombe scoring 34 in his debut from the rights to Ricky Sanchez, Spike Eskin. Spike, how you doing?
Hi, KOC. I'm feeling a little bit of deja vu, as if we just did this.
I know, for real.
Kidding. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm feeling good, man. I am feeling good. Very happy to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
I know. Likewise, man. Always good to have you on. I got my Spike Eskin is a liar shirt on.
Oh, there you go.
I'm always going to wear it every single appearance as long as I remember. So VJ Edgecombe scores 34 points in his debut, now tied third all time for a rookie in their debut. Wilt Chamberlain ranks first. He surpassed Allen Iverson, who had 30 in his debut with the Sixers back in the 90s. Five 3-pointers, 13 of 26 from the floor, 7 boards, 3 assists. VJ Edgecombe, Spike, he looked like a star.
Dude, we have hope again in Philadelphia. You know, it was such a dark year last year. You know, we've been doing the podcast for 12 and a half years now, right? And this is, believe it or not, like with all the bad things that have happened, I think last year was the darkest time. And to get that third pick was so exciting, you know, but everybody wanted, it's funny when you look at the lottery party, everybody wanted one of the top 2. And we got the third, right? Then we get Edgecombe, and we all talk ourselves into it. And he seems like a great kid. It seems like a great athlete and had some really cool moments in the preseason and summer league. But I don't think any of us saw a debut like that coming, specifically offensively from him. You know, his shot doesn't look broken or anything, but, you know, you could tell when he was missing, he wasn't missing by a half an inch when he was missing shots in the preseason. So I think one thing that I learned last night, I think the shot will come and go this year, but he looked so calm in high pressure situations. I thought it was really notable that when it was him and Grimes on the floor, that Nurse had Edgecombe as the primary ball handler, which is not something I thought he would do. He just looked, he made good decisions, you know, like just from a pump fake to a drive to finding Oubre in the corner, something that it doesn't seem like much, but for a 19-year-old to do in his first game in a high pressure situation was really good. So I think we're all really, really excited. And it was the best thing about the last 12, 13 years of doing this has been the moments where you have hope for the future, right? Like when you see flashes of what could be. And last night was an amazing moment for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think ultimately when you look at the Sixers, obviously we'll talk about Joel Embiid in a second, but Tyrese Maxey with 40, Jared McCain had a great rookie season before he got hurt, and then VJ Edgecombe. Morey has hit on a lot of picks, on a lot of these decisions that he's made around the core of the roster with the veterans who have been there since before he was. And it seems like Edgecombe, like you said, he goes third. It's all about Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, first and second, but VJ Edgecombe, I think with him, there was an element of safety. Like you feel like a guy as athletic as he is with his skill set, he'll be at least a solid rotation guy, but there's this chance he becomes a star. And he had a big preseason game, a big debut. And now you're looking at a guy who it's like, okay, maybe he's ahead of schedule and his long-term star potential. And during preseason, I said, Spike, how I felt like VJ Edgecombe was the most important rookie in the NBA because of the impact he can make on the Sixers in the short term, especially given how weak the Eastern Conference is. I felt like VJ could raise the ceiling of this team. Do you think you've seen enough from VJ, not just on his debut, but preseason included, to feel like he could change the fortunes this particular season from the Sixers?
Sure. I guess I think no matter what this season is, he changes the fortune of this season, right? Okay, let's say Embiid ends up being fine and Paul George ends up being fine. He provides something that the Sixers have really never had, is just whether he is a second or a third guard, just a really great athlete, a really solid perimeter defender, somebody as a guard who can even rebound, I know it sounds amateur, but to dunk on people, you know, like we've had so many ground bound players over the last several years as they invest in veterans, you know, to try to win and to see somebody like this. So I think if they end up being good and a contender this year, having somebody like him will be a major help, right? Because he doesn't, especially with McCain back and the way that Maxey shoots, is that I think you could put him in a position to only highlight what he's already good at. But I think also if the year falls apart, I think he can be a way to bring the year together almost, or for there to be purpose. There was no purpose to last year after George and Embiid got hurt. There was nothing. The only purpose was losing. But now, if they don't come around, the purpose this year is, wow, look at the exciting young guy and young core we have. So I think he raises the ceiling of them as a team, but I also think for a fan, he raises the ceiling of the team as a relevant thing to watch or care about, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense in the world, because it's the type of thing where if Embiid, I mean, his 4 points on 1 of 9 and his debut didn't look great at all physically. If things don't turn around for him, there's still plenty of reasons for hope and optimism, considering the other guys on the team. And it's not just Maxey, McCain, and Edgecombe either. Like, I think like Dominic Barlow looked really good in his debut with the Sixers. So it's like there's these other youngish guys on the team where you feel like there's something to build around. And ultimately, though, for the potential of the team this year, though, Embiid's got to be Joel Embiid at least 80%, 75% of his peak level. And 4 points on 1 of 9 in his debut, didn't finish the game, not really jumping at all. Spike, what are we to make of Joel Embiid's first game of the season?
It was pretty disconcerting, I think. I think you can, depending on what you're... There are really two camps in Philly: the people who have given up and just want him gone and don't want to look at him anymore. And there's the people who still have hope. And I think if you're the former, you look at last night and there's a very easy told you so. He's cooked. He doesn't have anything left. If you are the latter, you saw the preseason game where he moved fine and he played fine. And when I say fine, I mean better than fine. He had, I know preseason stats don't matter, but he had, in 16 minutes or something, he had 14, 8, and 7. He was passing the ball well. He was moving pretty well on defense. I think last night, the thing that was most troubling was the difference, how he looked physically preseason game to that game. He's had games where he hasn't shot well, right? I mean, if he had gone 1 for 9 last night, but moved well on defense and rebounded and passed the ball well, I wouldn't have cared. The 1 for 9, he's a good shooter. He'll be able to shoot. I think the thing that worried me most was he just looked like he couldn't move laterally on defense. I don't know if he's scared, troubled with the knee, if he doesn't want to get hurt, what it is. Maybe it's just rust, but it didn't look like rust. It looked like a guy who looked closer to the bad part of last year than pre-Kuminga injury. I don't think any of us were hoping that, or had any illusions that he would look physically the way he did 5 years ago or 6 years ago, but if he could look the way that he did pre when I say Kuminga injury, when he fell on his knee, knee injury from 2 years ago, I think that's all they need. And he didn't look like that. Like, he looked like the guy that we saw in the Olympics, or the guy that we saw in that Knicks series. And I don't know. That's tough,
I had two thoughts watching the game, because I watched his game against Minnesota in the preseason where he looked really good. One of them was how much of that is the nature of Minnesota's offense, where he doesn't have to face a 5-out offense like you see in Boston, with all the space and motion and shooting that Boston uses versus Minnesota, which is a bit more stagnant of an offense in the half court. However, I don't think it's just that. I just feel like if you just look at him, if you isolate the camera on Joel Embiid, he looked like he was moving a lot more gingerly in this game than he was in that preseason game, which makes your mind wander. Is was it a setback? Is it a type of thing where he wakes up each morning feeling differently, or was it actually some type of setback? All I know is I picked the Sixers to, I think, finish the 4 or 5 seed, and we'll see. It's a long road ahead in the year, but it was scary, man. It was scary. And that camp of Sixers supporters that you're saying are just done with them, they want to move on and would have an eye towards the future. It feels like they have a lot of evidence suddenly behind them just after this first game. It was concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that the only thing I always say to those people is there's nothing to do now. The only action item now is keep throwing them out there and see if it works its way out. One of the things that they said last year...
And you're not getting anything for him either, Spike. You're not... Right, you're not getting anything.
You're paying to get off him. Yeah, you're paying to get off him probably at this point with that contract there. So just throw him out there. And the only thing I'd add is that last year, one of the things they said repeatedly was before he had that surgery, which was a minor surgery, was that the condition in his knee, he's going to need to play on it more for it to settle in. So maybe he just needs to play on it more. Like he played that preseason game. The next practice they had, he was a full participant, did everything. They said everything was fine, was not listed on the injury report yesterday. So it would be the first time that an injury situation was misreported in Philadelphia. But I think if I want to look at it positively, or at least realistically, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you're not going to sit him. You're just going to keep putting him out there until he can't physically anymore and see if it works. Because the other side of that is what you said, is using a draft pick to get rid of him, and then for what, so you just wait and you pray, I guess.
Yeah, I think ultimately Philly, it's pretty obvious what they have to do. It's they have to keep him, hope he gets better, and continue. Like you still have hope with these other guys as part of the future right now. And for the Celtics side of that, they blow that game. They just felt like one of those, middling teams that are going to be competitive but lose a lot of games in the fourth quarter. And it's another Missoula special with a blown lead there for him. But ultimately, I picked the Celtics to sneak into the playoffs as an 8 seed in my predictions before opening night. But I ultimately think the best scenario for the Celtics is to miss the playoffs, have a lottery pick. And was there any better example than what we saw on the other side with Philadelphia landing VJ Edgecombe? Like, especially this year for Boston, that is the prize to win the lottery, end up with a top 3 pick, and then add a guy to Tatum, Brown, and the core going back next season. So I think for the Celtics, ultimately losing is winning this season at the end of the day. But what did you see from the Boston side of things? Do you feel like they are a potential playoff team, or did you come away feeling like this team's going to be in the lottery for sure?
So before I watched them, I thought, oh, they're going to make the playoffs. My doomer mentality was they're going to make the playoffs as a 7 seed. Tatum's going to come back at the beginning of March, and all of a sudden, as a 7 seed or an 8 seed, they're going to end up in the Eastern Conference Finals because systemically they just know how to play. They have athletes, blah, blah, blah. That was my thought before watching them. When you actually watch them, you think to yourself, man, there's a lot of guys on this team that aren't like the level of player that you're used to seeing on the Celtics. I think you got so used to watching the Celtics with such a stacked roster of players, then to see it basically be just Derek White and Jaylen Brown, and like other guys that they're fine, can play, but it just doesn't look like the same thing. It was actually kind of stunning. I think they could be in the playoffs because I just don't think there's a number of good Eastern Conference teams. They could. I mean, did a team make the playoffs last year? Or at least made the play-in, winning 35 games or something like that. I think they could sneak in. And I do think they have a pretty good coach, and Jaylen Brown looked pretty good last night. But they had more players that were not Celtics level players, I thought, playing last night than I'm used to watching.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, especially given all the guys that they did lose. And look, I think that's a game that if you're Boston and you feel like you have a chance to make the playoffs, you have to beat the Sixers with Joel Embiid scoring 4 points on 1 of 9. Just like you have to get those wins.
And the other thing is, it was kind of stunning looking. I mean, not having McKean and George will fill out that roster, but you look at the Sixers starting lineup. There's only one reliable shooter in the whole starting lineup. Like they started Maxey, Edgecombe, Oubre, Dominic Barlow, and Joel Embiid. Like the only reliable shooter there is Maxey. Embiid can shoot all those things, but Oubre's not a shooter. Edgecombe, we'll see. Barlow can't shoot at all. And so it was, I went into it. It felt kind of like a process game, So you go against that team with Embiid, like you said, scoring 4 points. You should probably win that game at home. They're 5.5 point favorite last night. So, yeah, I agree with you.
As a Joel Embiid guy, Spike, I am curious your thoughts on Victor Wembanyama last night.
Well, okay. So 2 things can be true. I will say 2 things are true. Thing number 1, he was great last night. Super impressive. Thing number 2, he's 7'7". He runs like a gazelle. He runs like a small forward. He is a foot taller than every other person he's playing. When you include his reach, he's probably got 2 extra feet of, like, Victor, to me, given his physical advantages, Victor Wembanyama should score 50 points a game and win 5 titles, and they should never miss the playoffs. Like, it should be like Wilt. I'm being serious. When you think of the difference between Wilt physically and the rest of the league, you're like, oh, that's why he scored 50 points a game. Like, that's why he scored 100 points, because he was just so physically dominant. And I see Wemby trying to cross people over and shoot 3-pointers. Dude, you can dunk standing at the free throw line. You should, like, every game should be, he should shoot 37 of 42 and plus his free throws. And I don't, is what he's doing
37
impressive?
or 42, Spike?
Dude, here's the thing. Everybody is like, I want to keep it clean is Yahoo. I don't even know how to, everyone is so happy with his 40 and 15 last night. Put him on the list of 7,000 other NBA players who have had 40 and 15 in a game. It's not that impressive to me. He's in the 3rd year of his career. They haven't made the playoffs. Like, he's 7'7", and everybody's excited that he's 7'7" and shooting threes. Hello. Like, if I was playing against people who are 4 feet tall, all I would do would be stand around the rim and dunk every single ball and do this to people, right? Like, what are we talking about? He should be scoring 50 points a game. Otherwise, I'm not impressed. 40 and 15. I don't know how many times did Russell Westbrook get 40 and 15, and he's a pariah. I'm not impressed. It should be 50 points every game. I'm being completely serious. I'm not, I look at him physically and I think to myself, if he does not reinvent the NBA with his dominance, he is a disappointment.
Well, what if this is the beginning of that, Spike? Year 3, he scores only 40 in his debut. Because here's the difference. I feel like the difference between Wemby right now and really his rookie year and last year too, the teammates have realized who he is. Like, they are getting him the ball more often. There's some more post-ups with Wemby. You saw the one dribble he had getting around Anthony Davis for the reverse dunk and one. You saw that, him getting to the rim with
How many times has Giannis done that? What are we talking about here? Giannis did, and he's 6'10". He's 7'7". He's 7'7". Everyone brags before the season. Oh, he grew 2 inches. Then why is anyone ever guarding you? Why are you ever missing a shot? I'm sorry. It is not that impressive.
He made AD look like a G leaguer.
AD he's on the back 9. AD moves like I do. I'm just saying, he may be the thing that you're talking about. He may end up being that. But 40 and 15 for him, given his physical advantages, if I played against 3rd graders and I got 40 and 15, would you be that impressed? Of course not. The difference between him physically and every other, you're talking about a Dembona, right? A Dembona is 6'9". What should it Embiid scored 70 on Victor Wembanyama. It happened. It's 70. Don't talk to me about 40 points. Don't talk to me about 40 points. I don't care. When 8 MVPs, win 5 championships, score 50 points a game, then I will be impressed by Victor Wembanyama.
Maybe that's what's coming. But I'll tell you what, 40 in a blowout over Dallas on opening night. I bet you he scores 50 this season. Maybe he scores 60. And maybe at that point, I'll have
every game.
I think he should. I think he should too, especially considering the KG comp, where he's like a hybrid of KD and Shaq. Like, at times, he does look like that hybrid, a KD Giannis type of hybrid. If that is indeed what happens, he will have a game where he scores 60 this year, and maybe a game where he scores 70. It very well could happen if it's a close, tightly contested game.
KOC, he should have 5 games in a row that he scores 60. He's 7'7". What if Manute Bol was good? Like, this is like if Sean Bradley was actually good, right? I mean, it should be impossible. It should be, teams should want to give up. Players should want to retire because of Wemby.
You know what you sound like to me? It's probably the way Hawks fans hear me when I used to talk about Trae Young saying, 30 and 12 isn't enough.
Yeah.
He also needs to do these things.
Yeah.
He also you just have higher expectations for Wemby than anybody else. That's all it is. You see more. You see more than 40 and 15. Yeah.
Yes,
you just see more greatness.
Yes. Why be, you don't want to let like good be the enemy of great. Like he is good right now, but I've seen 40 and 15. VJ Edgecombe just played in his first game. He scored 34. I'm supposed to care that Wemby in his third year scored 40? Who cares? He's 7-7.
Spike, that's such a good take. And honestly,
dude,
not false.
Maxey,
it's not false.
Maxey scored 40 last night. He's 6 feet tall.
Spike, you're not wrong about that. That is a statement of facts. Thank you so much for joining me today, man.
You got it. Thanks for having me, buddy.
You can find Spike at the Rights to Ricky Sanchez. He hosts afternoons on WIP. Thank you, Spike.
Thanks, dude.